Hello, this is the second of 6 videos in which I try to provide a short introduction to the Baha'i Faith. I will add some references in the notes below the video. This video completes my historical survey and deals with the years since 1863. These can be subdivided into 4 main periods, consisting respectively of the periods of leadership of Baha'u'llah up to 1892, that of his eldest son and designated successor, Abdu'l-Baha, from 1892 to 1921, Abdu'l-Baha's successor, his eldest grandson, Shoghi Effendi Rabbani, from 1922 to 1957, and the elected Universal House of Justice since 1963. I should emphasize that this is a very brief summary of complex events, and those interested should refer to the books in the note below the video, in particular my Cambridge book, The Babi and Baha'i Religions. Let me talk first then about the emergence of the Baha'i Faith in the roughly 30-year period from 1863 to 1892. The 4.5 years Baha'u'llah spent in Edirne, in European Turkey, from December 1863 until August 1868, marked a crucial point of transition in the development of the new religion. Just prior to leaving Baghdad, in April 1863, Baha'u'llah had confided a claim to divine authority to his immediate disciples. In Edirne, after a breach with his half-brother, Subazal, became open, Azal reportedly tried to poison him, Baha'u'llah made open claim to be the promised Babi Messianic figure of He whom God shall make manifest, and invited all Babis to become his followers, taking his name as Baha'is. This was in 1866 and effectively marked the beginning of a separate Baha'i movement. Sending emissaries to the Babis in Iran, Baha'u'llah soon gained the allegiance of most of them, leaving only a minority as followers of his brother. Further exile followed, with Baha'u'llah and most of his immediate followers being transferred to the prison city of Akka in Ottoman Syria, and Subazal and a few others dispatched to Famagusta in Cyprus. Initially held in Akka prison, Baha'u'llah was later allowed to live under effective house arrest in the city, and then from 1877 in country mansions in the vicinity. In one of these, Baji, he died in 1892. During these last 3 decades of Baha'u'llah's life, the Baha'i Faith took shape as an organized religion. Baha'u'llah continued to write extensively after his exile to Ottoman Syria, revealing his own code of divine law in his book the Kitab al-Aqdas, outlining his vision for a united and just world, and sending a series of letters to some of the major world leaders of the time: the Ottoman Sultan Abdulaziz, Nasruddin Shah of Iran, Napoleon III of France, Queen Victoria of Britain, Alexander II of Russia, and Pope Pius IX, in all of these proclaiming his mission. Meanwhile, Baha'i migrants and teachers established Baha'i groups in various parts of the Ottoman Empire, as well as in Egypt, Russian Turkestan and Caucasia, and British India and Burma. Effective organization ensured that the now multinational Baha'i groups remained in close contact with Baha'u'llah, and that copies of his writings were widely distributed. There was also some printing of Baha'i literature in India. Baha'u'llah appointed his eldest son, Abbas, who took the title Abdu'l-Baha, the servant of Baha, to lead the Baha'is after his death. Accordingly, he became leader in 1892. Abdu'l-Baha was then almost 50, well known to the Baha'is and greatly respected as his father's chief assistant, so the appointment was readily accepted, despite opposition from Abdu'l-Baha's own half-brother, Muhammad Ali, and a small band of his supporters. The almost 30 years of Abdu'l-Baha's leadership was a crucial period of change for the Baha'i Faith, most dramatically with the growth of small Baha'i communities in North America and Europe. Although only a few thousand in number, the new Western Baha'is vividly demonstrated the international nature of the faith and became an extremely active element in Baha'i publishing and teaching activities. Abdu'l-Baha himself was able to visit the Western Baha'is in 2 lengthy tours in 1911 and 1912-1913. Meanwhile, in Iran, despite worsening persecution, the Baha'is were able to impress an increasing number of progressive Iranians with the relevance of their ideas of social reform, as well as successfully establishing a number of Baha'i schools and furthering the emancipation of women within the community. With no living sons of his own, Abdu'l-Baha designated his eldest grandson, Shoghi Effendi Rabbani, as his successor. Shoghi Effendi served as the first in a projected line of guardians of the faith from January 1922 until his death in 1957. At the time of his succession, Shoghi Effendi was still a student in Oxford, but despite his youth proved to be a strong and effective leader, consolidating a system of elected local and national Baha'i councils, or spiritual assemblies, to administer the affairs of the faith. He also produced a number of significant English-language translations of the writings of Baha'u'llah and Abdu'l-Baha, defined matters of Baha'i doctrine, oversaw the extension of the buildings and gardens of the Baha'i World Center in the Haifa-Akka area, and directed a series of increasingly ambitious expansion plans to spread the Baha'i religion throughout the world. Shoghi Effendi died suddenly in 1957. He had no children, and a body of 27 senior Baha'is, whom he had recently appointed as Hands of the Cause, assumed temporary leadership of the faith, pending the election of the Universal House of Justice, an international Baha'i council referred to in the Baha'i writings, in 1963. Since 1963, the Universal House of Justice has continued the programs of global expansion and administrative consolidation set in train by Shoghi Effendi, as well as overseeing the further expansion of the Baha'i World Center and more translations of the Baha'i writings into a diversity of languages. The most obvious characteristic of the Baha'i Faith since 1892 is perhaps its internationalization, particularly since the 1950s, when a series of expansion plans led to the establishment of Baha'i communities in virtually every country in the world, and the gaining of converts from an enormous diversity of cultural and religious backgrounds. There are now perhaps 5 million Baha'is worldwide, with Baha'i groups and communities established in every country apart from North Korea. Although the Iranian Baha'is, themselves severely persecuted since the establishment of the Islamic Republic in 1979, remain an important part of the global Baha'i community, the Baha'is can now rightfully claim to be a worldwide religion, with particularly large memberships in India and parts of Africa and Latin America. Linked to this development is an increasing range of Baha'i literature addressing a wide range of issues. A second characteristic of the Baha'i Faith since the death of its founder is the maintenance of the religion's unity. All religious movements face a potential crisis of leadership when their founders die, and many split into competing sects as a result, or alternatively lose their original dynamism. In the Baha'i case, development of the doctrine of a covenant, linking each of the successive leaders back to Baha'u'llah, has played a significant role in maintaining the religion's unity and dynamism, with internal opposition to each of the leaders being small in scale and relatively transient, direct opponents of the successive leaders being expelled from the religion. A third characteristic evident in Iran since the late 19th century and elsewhere, particularly since the 1960s, has been the increasing importance of educational and other socio-economic development projects within the faith. In the next two videos, I will turn to matters of Baha'i belief. Thank you.